to see my colleagues from Texas, although I wish we were under slightly different circumstances. Obviously, I think that you guys should be in Austin, Texas, performing those duties. Let me ask you a couple quick questions here, and I'm just going to scatter these around. Just give me yes or no answers if you can. Representative Bernal, is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act remaining full in effect?
Excuse me?
Is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act remaining full in effect right now?
Yes.
Right. And are you aware, was it just Section 5 that was overturned in the Shelby County decision 8 years ago? Right. And that the reason that the body, that it was overturned was that this body failed to update the formula and was using 50-year-old data and a 50-year-old formula. Is that yes or no? Is that why it was overturned?
That was among the reasons.
So the Voting Rights Act remains in effect. The 1965 Voting Rights Act remains in effect. That provision, Section 5, is what was overturned because it was 50-year-old data. May I ask another question on this of each witness? Do you believe that Texas should have to submit to the Department of Justice for any changes that it makes in its voting laws or formulas?
Yes.
Ms. Collier, or Representative Collier?
The historical nature of Texas
Just yes or no, do you think Texas's election laws should have to submit to the Department of Justice for preclearance?
Not only for that, for maps as well.
And Representative Thompson, do you believe that they should have to submit to the Department of Justice for preclearance?
Yes.
So for the record, the representatives from Texas believe that they should have to defer to Washington, defer to the federal government on what we should do for election laws in the state of Texas. Now, each of the three of you are aware that you are in fact violating Texas law by being here right now instead of being in Texas during the legislative session, and that it would be in order to arrest you were you in the state of Texas to get you back to the state house. We agree that those are the facts. Representative Bernal?
I'm not sure those laws are constitutional.
But is that the law in the state of Texas? We can argue the constitutionality.
I don't think so.
I think the law of the state of Texas is that you're supposed to be in session and that you're supposed to be there carrying out your constitutional duty. Do you support H.R. 1, the federal law that was passed here in the House of Representatives? Representative Bernal?
Yes.
Representative Collier?
I believe I will stand with the congressional members who passed it, so I support their...
Representative Thompson, do you support H.R. 1?
I do. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just say I'm ready to be arrested. I'm not violating the law, and I'm representing my constituents, and I stand ready. Bring the handcuffs on, and I'm ready to go.
Representative Thompson, reclaiming my time. I appreciate that's your view on the matter. I think that makes the case precisely. With respect to H.R. 1, each of the witnesses, one said that she opposed voter ID, two said some forms of voter ID. I would point out and just want to clarify that H.R. 1 would in fact say that an individual in the state is eligible to cast a vote in an election for federal office. The state may not impose any additional conditions or requirements on the eligibility of the individual to cast the vote in such election by absentee ballot by mail. In other words, federal prohibition on the use of voter ID with respect to absentee ballot by mail and interfering with the state's rights to ability to use voter ID. I've heard a number of witnesses testify about the lack of examples of the witnesses of fraud. On September 3rd, 2014, at the United States District Court in Corpus Christi, Democrat election expert Buck Wood was asked if there was a voter fraud occurring by mail. His response, and I quote, was yes, very definitely. Do you agree with him, Representative Bernal?
Do I agree that Buck Wood was aware of a case of
Was asked fraud? If there was voter fraud occurring by mail. His response, and I quote, was very definitely. Do you agree with him?
I believe that he said that, sure.
Representative Collier, do you agree with him, his assertion?
I cannot confirm or deny. I'm not sure.
Representative Thompson?
I'm not aware of him saying that.
Okay. In 2007, your colleague, who also happens to be here in D.C., Rafael Anchia, said, and I quote, vote by mail that we know is the greatest source of voter fraud in this state. Do you agree with Representative Anchia, yes or no? Greatest source of fraud, yes or no? Do you agree with Anchia or no?
I have no reason to, I have nothing to base the fact that the greatest source of voter fraud.
Okay, so you're disagreeing with Representative Anchia. Representative Collier?
I don't know what context, so I cannot confirm or deny what you're just
Well, it's exact quote, vote by mail that we know is the greatest source of voter fraud in this state.
I'm not sure what the context was.
Well, that's the context, that statement, straight up, it's plain English.
Give us the rest of it. Tell us what else he was talking about.
The sentence, vote by mail that we know is the greatest source of voter fraud in this state. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I would decline to respond.
Representative Thompson?
I think he would be at a better advantage here if he was here to answer that question for you.
Well, 18 years ago, Representative Garnett Coleman, a Democrat, tried to ban pre-printed ballot by mail applications. Do you agree with Representative Coleman that we should ban pre-printed ballot by mail applications? Representative Bernal?
I do not.
Representative Collier?
I'm not aware of that statement.
Do you agree, though, with that position?
I cannot say what he thought or what he did.
Representative Thompson?
I'm not aware of his making a statement.
Congressman, can I clarify the question?
Very quickly, because I'm running out of
Are
time.
you talking about an application or are you talking about a ballot?
Pre-printed mail-in ballot.
No. Application, yes. Ballot, no.
Okay. All right. And then with respect to the assertions earlier, I think was placed into the record, the chairman put in a number of videos and statements from Texas constituents. I would ask to insert into the record a document that I outline a number of examples of voter fraud, including statements from black witnesses who testified in the Texas legislature about voter fraud.
Wait, this is a statement from you?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Without objection.
And in that, you have Jerry Wayne Monroe, Aubrey Taylor, Demetria Smith. Demetria's quote was, "Democrats are going after my ancestors. You are making a mockery of my suffrage and you use it to your advantage for your own agenda so you can keep your own seat. It's not about the people." Aubrey Taylor, "Hear me. Elections are being stolen in Harris County. And if something is not done right now, I guarantee you get ready to lose the state." Jerry Wayne Monroe, "My community is suffering because there are kingmakers and they cheated in the last election." He testified that he witnessed ballot harvesters take $22,000 in pay. He affirms that ballot harvesters were soliciting nursing homes. He testified that a poll location had spare IDs available for voters if they did not have one. The fact of the matter is, there is fraud in elections. The fact of the matter is, the legislature is putting forward a good faith effort to try to reform our election laws in the state of Texas. And the fact of the matter is, Texas Democrats fled Texas to Washington, where they're asking Washington to step over the interest in the voters of Texas.
All right. Thank